Hey, welcome to my video. Here is my printout that I will be referring to. Today's video is about intuition. And intuition is talked about a lot. It is not a woo-woo spiritual quality per se. It's a very human quality to have a feeling, to have a sense, to have a knowing that can't quite be, quantified or proven or let alone convince someone else, but it's a knowing. It's a knowing. And the knowingness is kind of in that realm of what some people determine as a feminine quality or soft skill. And I try not to use that language because I think feminine and masculine is just so polarized. It's like we both are feminine and masculine. We both, men and women and everything in between have masculine and feminine sides. So this is the side of feminine in the sense that it's like knowing, awareness. There's a heart-centeredness to it, but we don't have to be reading books or meditating for intuition to work. We all have had those moments where we thought, I should have, ... And then later we realize why we had that feeling or sense. Or we look back at a situation and go like, oh, I knew something was off about that person, or I knew I shouldn't have bought that online program that ended up whatever, something. And that, we don't listen to ourselves. So the article will be emailed to you if you're on my list, and I can put the link for you to sign up for that because it's always convenient to get it emailed to you if you can't find it on Facebook. So intuition, my definition of intuition is that you hear your voice, not the noisy voices in your head. You hear your voice, the voice of truth and knowing within you, connected to your essence and all that good stuff, louder than the other voices. Okay, so the other voices include your own crazy habitualized thoughts, like they're like thought mosquitoes that are really annoying, but they're not necessarily your voice. And your voice is your own mark in the world. It's your own unique self. And you know who that is. Like, what that sounds like. And when you feel or hear or know that aspect of you, you just know. You don't have to convince anybody. You just listen and you know. So outside voices, right? Like the media, what will people think, all of that kind of stuff. Those are other voices that can keep us from knowing our truth. So in a really easy example is like, bring an umbrella, right? Bring an umbrella even though it's not raining. So you might not grab the umbrella because the noisy voice in your head is like, well, what will people think? So you're afraid of the outside voices, the media, society. So all of these things can interfere with our natural receptivity to our own truth speaking to us. So how do we even use our intuition? So I've got a few points here, but it's kind of the same stuff I teach if you've been following me for a while. We need to be in our body. And most people don't pay attention to their sensations as viable, intelligent information to be used for their life. They medicate or shove down or all the things. They need to. I do that too. That I can catch it quicker, or I don't do that all. There comes a point where there's such overwhelming evidence from your own self and your own life that you listen. You just are like, I'm feeling this like contraction in my chest. And then you kind of start to know how your body speaks to you through sensation. So that's the first step, is that you kind of have to be connected to yourself as a receiver. It's like the internet means nothing if you don't have your phone to connect to it and like access, be the receiver for the question, be the receiver to stream something. So your body is that receiver. And so it will speak to you through sensations and just knowings. And everybody knows what that's like, whether they have a regular self-care meditation. You don't have to do yoga for this stuff to work. This is just human basics. Anyone can do this. Anyone can access their intuition. But you can't access intuition from that logical thinking mind. That's where the noise interferes with intuition, okay? Your body is golden. And the second point to your body is that there's all of this new research catching up with knowingness that there's I'm just going to read the quote so I don't mess it up. The second brain in your gut contains some 100 million neurons more than either the spinal cord or the peripheral nervous system. So there's been all of this attention on the brain, the mind, all of this stuff, right? Thinky. And now there's just so much more information, which we've known intuitively. You know, when you have a gut feeling, all of these things point to the body. I have a feeling in my body, you know, instincts, the hair stands up on your arm or the back of your neck, like this intelligence speaking to us, right? So there, you have to have a good connection with your body to use intuition more readily. It will still work. It'll still kind of sneak in there and be like, hey, here's a thought, or here's a thing, or here's a sensation, in an attempt to get you to pay attention. But if your receiver's open, right, if you're paying attention to your body and you know what noisy life feels like and you know what intuition feels like, you can make more confident decisions quickly, more aligned decisions. You can communicate better. Intuition is amazing as a life skill, not just some fleeting quality that some people have. It is for everybody. And now the second thing I want to talk about is your heart center. Your heart center isn't necessarily like your beating heart organ, although it's associated. It's just this energetic center that, again, you haven't been into this kind of stuff. Everyone's felt heartbreak or they feel really anxious so they can't breathe. Like all of this stuff is pointing to this heart center being active or activated or overly active by feeling the clenching or feeling open and expansive. And there's something that you really love, someone you love that you haven't seen for a while, or you're inspired by something. Those are all normal day-to-day ways that heart center shows up for you. Now, very few people know how to use it consciously. It's more of a reaction. It's like something happens, ooh, my heart's doing this. But now it's like, okay, what if I can connect to my heart center as another way that intuition can speak clearly, again, to hear your voice louder than all the other voices. The heart center is the other main powerhouse for that, because it's also it's another area where there's no logical convincing. It just is. It's just pure information. It's the level of intelligence that masterpieces are painted and written, and poetry and, genius level comes from this kind of place, because it comes from creation itself, not from thinking. It comes from creation, that space of creating. So your heart is your access point to all of your resources, all of this energy that wants your life to move well and work well, and it's there for you to use. But very few people actually take the time or know, and this is why I do these videos and why I write this stuff and why I teach this stuff, because it's right there for you. It is right there for you. It's literally right there for you. Heart center, and you can find the heart breathing meditation that I do. You can do the body scan. So there's lots of techniques to do this that are super easy to do on a daily basis, and I do recommend doing those. So you can find the heart breathing on my website, and the body scan also on my website, or just email me back. Okay, so that's the heart center. The other thing, so now that's like internal, right? So there's inside, just as like there's inside noise and outside noise, there's also outside intelligence, where, this concept of synchronicity, where things seem to be a coincidence, but they're like, you notice them. And again, like the zings in your body, there's something in your body that's, something's different. Like, that coincidence or that repetition, a song that's come on the radio that's confirmed a thought you had in your head. I've had lines in a show I decide to watch be the exact line that I either just said or wrote down, and it's like confirmation. Do not use outside messages to direct your life. They're only meant to be confirmation of your own knowingness. Otherwise, it can get really messy really fast. So synchronicities they're coined by Carl Jung. There's lots of information about them, but it's those things in life where you run into the person, like you're say you do meditate and you meditate in the morning. You're like, okay, this is my goal. This is my vision. You feel the feelings. It's a good meditation to do. And then you go off in your day and you're like, okay, I'm connected. I'm tuned up. I feel my body. I feel my heart. Here I go. And you just are like, I'm going to pick up peaches from the store. And then you run into the perfect person because the plan in your head, and they're like, oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing. That's a synchronicity. That's when you bust out of this very small, limited world of constraints of just thinking from your mind and just thinking from linear reality. And you now have access to infinite intelligence working with you for you. That's the level of synchronicity. It's really cool. So those other things of staying in your body and your heart and paying attention, those will happen more and more. It's very cool. The other thing I'm going to recommend, I'm realizing this is actually quite the list of things to do. This is a very entailed article. So if you want the article, just sign up to my newsletter and those are emailed out to you. And then they're on my website as well. So you're going to want to keep an evidence journal of when the times work, when you had a feeling and it was like, yeah, and then I met Sandy at the thing and she's doing the same thing and she introduced me to Bob and Bob has this piece of what you needed. And it's like things that you could never have planned, you could never have fabricated. You can't, like saying like you can't make this stuff up because you can't. Once it starts working, you'll be sold. You won't have to listen to me do this. This will just be a good confirmation of your own truth. The evidence journal is keeping tabs, creating the evidence that this is a real, viable, useful, pragmatic life tool that your left brain can get on board with. Because your left brain wants to understand things in order to do them. But sometimes you gotta just trust and you gotta be like, you know what? I kind of think this is gonna work, and then go for it. And then when that starts to get results, you jot it down, and then when you're feeling like a lack of faith and you're doubting and you're like not sure how it's gonna go, you review. And it's like, wow, that worked, that worked, that worked, that worked. Something's working, even if I don't know how yet. So that's the point of the evidence journal, is to create that evidence for your logical thinking mind when you're feeling insecure, when you have doubt. We all have it. I think I have it every day, at least a couple times a week. It's very human, right? To like really love what you're creating in life, but feel insecure. What will people think? How's this going to go? That's just, everyone feels that way. So manage your mind is the last point about using intuition to improve your life now. I can't say enough about this. I'll probably do 10 videos about this. All that means is like knowing that your mind is a tool and not the be all and end all. So when it is doubting, when it is going off, when it thinks everything it's thinking is true, managing your mind is like, okay, it's like being your own parent, right? Remember that triangle I did? If you've been following, go back to another few posts. That's actually really good, where there's how to be the healthy adult to your healthy inner child, and then you have your higher self, and that triangle is magical. And that's kind of like managing your mind, is that your higher self might manage your adult self, where you're getting too pragmatic and too like, what do I want to say? Like drowning in details and the adultness and the busy, and it just starts to get really all too much and gray and you just want to run away. That higher self can come in and just be like, just take a nap. You know what I mean? There's these parts of ourselves that know how to guide us and have loving commentary, but we have to sort of train it. So managing the mind, again, as I said, I could do 10 videos about it, is about, let me see what I have here. Yeah, and then also it's something you can focus. So you want to manage your own noise and direct your attention to what you desire. I don't mean crazily try to manage and cancel and think this and do that. That can get really noisy in and of itself, because the thoughts are only one part of your whole system. But to just entertain that they aren't everything. So just because you're afraid of something doesn't mean it's going to happen. And so you soothe that thought and you manage the thought, and then you redirect back to what you're focusing on. So that's the amazingness of the mind, is your ability to focus. And then what you focus on expands. So that is 15 minutes of a lot of information now that I'm saying it out loud. I wrote it in an article and I'm like, okay, this is good. But that's a lot of information. So, break it down, start with one thing, consider it, find out how it works for you. That's how we should do everything. You can't do everything at once. So just take the little snippets and see how you can let that knowingness start to guide your life now by doing everything I just shared in the video. And if you want to reach out to me, jennasmithcoaching.com, and I'd love to hear from you and hear how this is going.